Hey, what's going on YouTube? Twisted Tony here with some ISIS news. It looks like the ISIS leader critically wounded in U.S. airstrikes. U.S. airstrikes destroyed a moving 10-vehicle Islamic State convoy near Iraq city of Mosul. U.S. officials were not sure if the top commander was there. Al Arabian News reports ISIS leader critically wounded. So, it's a positive that the leader was wounded. The strike demonstrates the pressure we continue to place on ISIS terrorist network and the group's increasingly limited freedom to maneuver, communicate, and command, U.S. Central Command said. Alright, I'm going to go on to some other news. It looks like some revolutionaries posing as cooks infiltrated an ISIS camp and poisoned meals in a bid to kill as many fighters as they could. Sources of the Syrian Free Army said a dozen Islamic State militants perished after eating a contaminated lunch at the Faith el-Sanal camp, where 1,200 are based. The rebels who hatched the plot were a group of defected Syrian soldiers who are fighting to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad. The Times of Iraq reporting that the witnesses said around a dozen were killed, 15 transferred to nearby hospitals. The cooks immediately fled along with their families to help the fellow revolutionaries. Alright, this is kind of war news, but it's not about ISIS. NATO's chief said that the alliance must be kept strong after its jets intercepted a large number of Russian aircrafts flying close to European airspace over 2 days this week in an unusual series of incidents that brought Russian bombers as far as Portugal. The aircraft, at least 19 in all, offered reminders of Russian air power at a time when relations between West and Russia are at their lowest point since the Cold War. Russian military aircraft have significantly increased their activity around Europe since the conflict in Ukraine began this year, with NATO scrambling to intercept aircraft more than 100 times in 2004, but a NATO official said that the last incidents were this year's most proactive. Over the North, Black and Baltic Seas, and the Atlantic Ocean, Russian bombers, fighter jets, tanker aircrafts were detected flying in international airspace. NATO said there were no intrusions in national airspace, a violation of sovereignty that would be greatly amplified the seriousness of the 4 incidents, 3 of which took place on Wednesday. And this isn't war news at all, but something you guys need to be aware of. It's about Obama. He diverted $1 billion of Ebola funds into somewhere else, seeking a more robust defense in the event of a bioterrorist attack on the United States. The Bush administration created a $6 billion fund to prepare the nation for such threats, including the deadly Ebola virus. The Obama administration, however, has not used the range of tools and budgets provided by the post-9/11 project, focusing instead on 3 targets and diverting at least $1 billion to other priorities, a review by the Daily Signal found. Nearly 5 years ago, in fact, the administration's own Biodefense Science Board warned that the project's funds, quote-unquote, should not be diverted to support other initiatives regardless of the merit of other purposes. So, Obama is really not taken to heart with this Ebola virus outbreak. He didn't close the borders. He didn't shut down flights from West Africa. He diverted $1 billion of funds. So that's pretty fishy, I'm not going to speculate on where those funds went or what they went to, but, it definitely should have stayed in that department to fight Ebola. Well, make sure you guys subscribe, check out my other videos, more videos to come.